Right. Yeah. That should be fine. I'm just laying everything out on the desk that I need. I think I've got everything I need. So I'll just put that down there for a minute. There's not enough room on the desk as always. So hope everyone is all right. Hope you're joining me today for my Craftalong Live. Back at 2 o'clock, it's normal time. I am sorry for the last 2 weeks, but as you know, from if you've been linked to my emails, you'll know, I had to take my husband for his physio, and there's all sorts of stuff on this desk. I'm just going to get rid of it. So I had to do it later than usual. And actually, the same thing is going to happen next week, but that is the last one. So hopefully, from a few weeks' time, I'll be back to normal. And I say a few weeks' time because, for those of you that might know, I'm a cricket scorer and I have a whole load of matches coming up, plus I have a holiday. So please do sign up for my emails at craftycarolscards.co.uk so that you know when I'm doing these lives and know when I'm doing my classes and my free craft-alongs. I am doing a free craft-along next week. I will be doing a live on Tuesday, but it will be late again. It will probably be about sometime between 3 and 3:30. And then on Thursday, we have my free craft along via Zoom. That is at 11 o'clock in the morning. And all the details with all the things you need for it will be in the email that goes out this weekend. So please do sign up before then. Anyway, today I am going to make a fun card with this set. Hang on, I need to show you my desk so you can actually see what I'm looking at. Get rid of my silly face there. There we go. We're going to make a card with this set here, Gallery Blooms. It's a beautiful set. It comes as... Oh, heavens. Oh, no. Oh, oh dear. Hello? 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 Oh, yes. Oh, I'm just doing my live. Oh, God, never mind. I've had to stop it to answer the phone now anyway. So, yes, I know. Could I ring you back in an hour? But he's spoken. He's told you he wants it done, but I can't do it now. I'm supposed to be doing I'm actually live on Facebook and YouTube, so this is actually going out live. Right? Okay. I'll ring in an hour. Bye. Oh dear. I don't know how to. There must be a way to turn off the phone when you're actually using it to do these, and I don't know why. So I'm very. Oh, hang on. Why isn't it added? There we go. Sorry about that. This is ridiculous. Honestly, life. Right, let's get back to where we were. Okay, I am using today this lovely Gallery Bloom set. This comes as a bundle, so it has these lovely images of different types of flowers and things, which is just gorgeous. And it comes with a set of dies which cut out all of those images, plus there are other images of other flowers and leaves and things that match the set. So there's plenty of dies, not just the image, not just that cut the images, but the bit I loved it for and desperately wanted it for are these frames. They're just gorgeous, and these are what they look like cut out. These are the larger ones. These are spare ones I've got, because if I'm cutting them out, I tend to cut out two of the, so I get both the large and the smaller one. This one's the smaller one, obviously, and they cut out like that, obviously same color cardstock. And so the one I'm not using for the card, I tend to keep. So I'm ending up with quite a little group of frames that I can use in other cards. Anyway, that is the set I am using. And I'm making what I've called a shaped layer card. And I just made it up. It's my card. But I hope you're going to like it. So I am starting, that's my envelope. What do you need for this? Well, you need a card base, and I'm doing this one in neutrals, and I'm going to show you one at the end that I've done in coloured cardstock to show you the difference and what they might look like. So it's a normal card base, So for our UK cardstock, it's A4 cardstock. It's 21 by 14.8, scored at 10.5. If you're using US cardstock, then that is 8.5 inches by 5.5 inches, scored at 4.25. That is your card base, and I've used basic beige. That's what that colour is. Then as my contrast colour, I'm using Pecan Pie, and I have my little list here of so I give you the right figures. So this square, I've got two squares. I've got a square of cardstock, a coordinating cardstock that goes with your base card, and one that matches the DSP that you're choosing. So I have used, and I've lost it, I don't know where I've put it now. It's the Woven Textures DSP. I have shown it before. There are some gorgeous patterns in it, but they're all patterns of sort of interlocked and woven and tied and tiled sort of shades, all in lovely neutral shades. So that's the Woven Textures DSP. And the size of these, the dark square that you need is 8.5 centimetres by 8.5 centimetres, or if you're working in inches, 3.25 by 3.25 inches. And the DSP is 8 by 8 centimetres, or 3 inches by 3 inches. Then you also need a piece for the frame. Now, if you haven't got these dies, then what I suggest you do is actually just cut a piece, and I'll give you the sizes in a minute. But the size of piece you need to cut out the smaller frame is 7 centimetres by 11.5 centimetres. It's a little bigger than the frame itself, so you can die cut the frame out like that. In inches, that's 2 3/4 inches by 4.5. If you haven't got the frame dies, then cut a rectangle of card, which is 6.5 centimetres by 11 centimetres, or 2.5 inches by 4.25 inches. Okay, so you also need a piece for your image, and this piece is 5 by 9 centimetres, and the reason for that is it fits just beautifully behind the frame. If you cut out your piece to what I've suggested, then it will sit inside it like that. So your frame, you'll still have an edge if you haven't got the frame dies. I'm actually using the frame die itself, so I've got a little, if you can see, I don't know if you can see nicely how that's working there. It's got a sort of edge on the inner side, and it's got these lovely marks in the corner. So I'm sticking my piece behind. This piece is 5 by 9 in centimetres, or 2 by 3.5 if you're working in inches. Then you also need a couple of scraps just for the sentiment, and you can choose whatever size you need to fit the sentiment you're going to use. I've actually used, obviously there's no sentiments with the Gallery Bloom set. I've used a sentiment from the Thoughtful Wishes set. I've used the Thanks. But the beauty of this card is you can make it for any occasion, which is really lovely. And I've just realised I haven't got the chat up, so if anyone's saying anything, I can't see it. There we go. I've got my chat up now, so if you are watching, please do let me know where you're watching from and what you're doing while I get on. Oh, I've got a stray sequin on the desk. Never mind, get rid of that. Okay, so to make the card, one of the things that I thought with this card is I wanted something slightly more interesting as a background on the card. Now, you could, if you wanted, use a stamped background, but I've decided to use an embossed background, and I'm using this old retired Subtles folder because it is my total favourite and I love it. So if you're using an embossing folder with a card that you want to emboss just part of, then if you put the front in that you want to emboss and put it to the side and just fold it round, then I can put it through, because you need to always put your embossing folders through with the crease going forwards into the machine. So if I just get my machine up, and I've managed to not give myself enough space here. Ooh. So I've got my cut and emboss machine. Ooh. Heavy to lift. I haven't got quite enough space. Let me just move those stamps as well on the side. There we go. And then I can make my sandwich, which is my base, then my cardstock. So I've just got the back of the cardstock folded behind the embossing folder, and I can put it through like that. And then my embossing plate on top, and then we can pop it through. Ooh. Doesn't want to go through it. Right. I may need to use my other plate, my slightly thinner plate. I'll just try that. So you want to never force things through. That feels better, actually. Yeah. So just play around with the plates you have to make sure you're using it. It's sliding on this desk. Just play around and make sure you've got a plate that will go through nicely without being forced through. Ooh. So there we go. Just put all those to one side for a minute, put them away in a minute. So when I've run it through, as you can see, hopefully, right off there, you can see that I've got the embossing on the one side and it's blank on the other side. Now I have got an edge to that. I probably pushed it slightly too, another sequin. What was I doing with sequins? I've got sequins everywhere. Anyway, so what I'm going to do with that, because it won't matter for this card in particular, I'm just going to trim that off. So it means my card is going to be a little tiny bit smaller, but it means I can get rid of that lip, which I don't want at the edge. So I've just got it so that it's covering the whole front there. That was my fault for having it too far up towards the fold in the embossing folder. I should have had it slightly further down and then I wouldn't have had that problem. So I've embossed the front of the card. So I'll just put that to one side. Now we can get on with making the rest of the card. So we're going to take the triangles here. Hello, Jenny. Oh, lovely to see you again. Lovely from South Africa. I don't know what your weather's like. We've got horrible rain today. We've had gorgeous weather for months. Now it's all broken and it's all raining again. So with these squares I told you about, the card and the DSP, we're going to cut them both diagonally. So with the card, obviously it doesn't matter. You just want to have two of the points pointing top and bottom. Make sure, I've mentioned this before, but make sure you start with your cutting blade in the center of where you want to cut, because if you come up or down onto a tip, you can damage it. And we want to leave really nice crisp points on the triangle. So can you see how that's now cut that beautifully? So I've got two beautiful points either side of my triangles. So put those to one side. Now for the DSP, if it's directional, and this is, I've got basically an up and I suppose I could have this sideways, but I can see it up and down. So you want it to hold it up. When you've got it up, you want to cut from the top right-hand corner to the bottom left. So I want to cut it that way. So again, I'm going to line my points up in the cutting channel. Make sure that my cutting blade is right in the center of it. And then again, just cut them in half like that. And that basically is it. So putting this all together, it's a very simple card actually, but I think it looks really interesting and quite nice. And you can use any color scheme and any DSP for this. As I said, I'm doing it in neutrals, and I will show you one in a minute, finished one, that I've used really quite bright colors. But let me just stick these together. So we're sticking the triangles to each other. And you'll find that because of the sizes I've given you, you've got a nice little tiny border all the way round, like that. So can you see I've got a nice border all the way around for that. We'll stick the other one in exactly the same way. So just sticking it on. So I've got the same border all the way around. That's just slipped a bit that side. So the benefit of me using my Tombow is that I can adjust that slightly to make sure it's straight. There we go. So there are my two triangles, and we're going to stick those to the base card. So this card hasn't got much dimensional upwards. That's why I wanted all the texture. And the Subtles embossing folder, I'm sorry that is retired. I think it's one of the best embossing folders ever. I love it. So anyway, let us get on. You could use any embossing folder. With the coloured card, I actually used the corrugated one, but I think it's a little bit too much. So that's why I've gone for a slightly less obvious one, I suppose, with this. So I'm going to stick these in, and is that my top or my bottom? I've forgotten now. Which way I did it? Yes, I'd cut it that way, so it doesn't really matter. It should be the same. But we're going to stick these onto the card front, just leaving a little gap around the top and the side that's the same. So we'll stick the other one at the bottom here. So if you have a scene or something like that, you want to make sure these are the right way round. This isn't so important because it's cut the same anyway. There we go. So we're just going to stick them down like that to the card front. And then we're going to get on with some stamping. So I am actually going to use my crumb cake for this, and cut out for my sentiment. So I'm using crumb cake, and I'm using this sort of, I don't know, thistle-like flower, I suppose it is. And I'm stamping it on here, and I'm actually going to stamp it twice, but only ink it once. And that technique is called, oh, it's basic beige I've got here. I thought I was using crumb cake. Anyway, basic beige will do because it matches the base. That's okay. So I'm going to do it twice. I'm going to stamp it once and then lift it off. And without re-inking it, I'm lining up my stem and just stamping it again. And that gives you can't see it very well because it's a little bit faint. I think I might turn it over and do it in crumb cake, which is what I intended in the first place. I'll just get my crumb cake and ink pad. Yeah, it's just a little bit too light in the basic beige. So I am going to go into crumb cake. It's a darker ink, so I don't need to clean my stamp. I've got my emergency side, because there always is. And I'm going to go in with what I actually wanted in the first place, which is crumb cake. I don't know why I was so lazy not to get it up then anyway. So picked the wrong ink pad the first time. That's better. So you can see there the effect I'm going for, like a shadow effect behind my main piece there. There we go. And what I'm doing is I'm going to get my water painter, or you could use as well the blender pen. I might use the blender pen actually. And I'm just going to use it around here just to bring out a little bit more colour into here. I've actually let it dry a little bit too much, but that's okay. Let's try the blend. That's better. So I'm just smearing, if you like, the colour around. And I have let it dry a little bit too much because I was talking to you. So the easy way to do that is, and I find this is the one thing with these new ink pads, they don't squeeze as easily at all as the old ones. But you can squeeze them and get a little bit of colour into the top here. And then I can pick it up with my water painter and just add some around. So I'm putting a little blob of colour at the bottom, and then I'm just going to spread it around a little bit, just to add a little something there. Not very much, just a little bit, just to add a little bit more colour. You can have great fun with these water painters and colour. And just to clean them off, all you need is a little bit of tissue or something, and you just dab onto the tissue until it runs clear again, which takes about 2 minutes. About 2 dabs rather, not 2 minutes. And then just a little tip, but I always just take any excess water off my ink pad. I don't want my ink pad to be sitting in a pile of water. So I always dab off any excess that is left in the ink pad. Just a little tip for you. Right. So that is can you see the colour I've added there? It'll dry in a minute, but still a little bit wet. And then I've got my shadow effect behind. And that I'm going to stick behind my frame, which I did die cut originally because I didn't want to have to do too much with the embossing machine on the desk. Because as you can see, it's a little bit big. So come on, glue, come out. There we go. So to stick it behind, I'm just putting a little line of glue just inside the frame at the back, like that. And then I can stick this down. So it just covers top and bottom of the frame there. There we go. And there it is at the front. So there is my, a little bit of glue coming through there. It's okay. There is my picture, if you like, that I'm going to now stick across the middle of here. So this is what the card's going to look like. And you could, if you wanted, I suppose, put that up on dimensionals. I'm not going to bother. I'm going to stick it down straight. So I'm going to pop that so it sits roughly the same top and bottom. So it's in the middle and roughly the same side to side. I think there is about right. So we shall put it in like that. There we go. So that's straight. Might just move it slightly so that it's straighter. Sometimes I'm not very good at seeing straight online. So there we have our picture there. And all I need to do now is a couple of things. I'm going to use another of the stamps from the set, and I'm going to use that inside the card and on the envelope, which is why I've got the envelope out here. And I am going to stamp this in Pecan Pie, a darker colour, which is the colour of the frame and the background I've used for the DSP. And that will show up nicely there. I might do a faded one of those behind there? Probably not. Don't want to mess it up. If I mess it up, I've got to take it all to bits again. There, so I'm just simply putting those in, and I can again use my pen just to add a bit more colour around the petals. Should have done the inside one first, because if you let it dry too much, it's difficult to do this. But can you see how I'm just bringing in a little bit of colour here? It just makes all the difference. So let's hope there's enough still here. It's wet to be able to bring it in. Yeah, there is. So hopefully you can see this. And it's a lovely way just to add a little bit of colour without having to bother to go to your blends or anything like that. You just use one of our inks and you just then move it around with your water painter. You can use an ordinary paintbrush and water if you haven't got a water painter, but they are so useful, these water painters. I use them all the time. So can you see how that just, try and hold it up there, it's still quite wet, but you can see how it just fills in. I need to dry before I do anything else with the card. But you can see how that just fills in the flower and gives me something without having too much colour in there. And it just brings a little extra to the party, in my view. So I like to add a little bit of that. Then in my scrap, there we go. And I've got a bigger scrap, which I'll need to cut down a bit. I've just put that ink pad away, honestly. What am I like? So I'm going to stamp my sentiment. I'm just going to make it a thanks card again. So I'll have it along here. Hope I'm not getting my head in the way there. And then I shall clean all my stamps. And then I just need to put it on my little background here. And I'm actually going to trim it if I haven't put everything on top of my scissors, which I have. There we go. So I'm actually going to trim it just at this end, and I'm just going to make it, I'm going to chop it off about here. And I'm just going to put a little V in. So I'm going to cut into it. Here, this is how I make my V's. Cut into it roughly the depth I want my V, and then I can cut from each corner up to that point, and it gives me a nice clean flag. Okay, you see that? Okay, there we go. So now I'm going to stick this to the background, and then I can trim the background around it and make sure that I'm happy. So I don't want too much of an edge to this, but this will do. So it is a little bit wide, this piece. I didn't measure it, it's just a scrap. So I'm just going to cut the same length here, and then again I can cut in just following the line and cutting outside where I've already cut to give me the coloured V behind it. That one's a little bit bigger, so I'll just trim that there. So that's how I've just done my little banner here. Let's get rid of these bits. And hopefully that is dry enough. Yes, it was, thank goodness. And I'm just going to stick this on. And I think probably for this particular one, I'm going to stick it down here. And again, I can probably put this one on with dimensionals, and I think I probably will. Let's have a couple of dimensionals on there. There. And to finish it off, I am just going to use, what have I got here? I've got some tiny gold gems. I really want my neutrals. Don't know where they are. Lost my gems. Or I could actually put a little bit of twine on, a little twine bow. Yeah, we'll have a little twine bow because I can't find the gems. I think I've put them somewhere else as well. Not so organised for today, I'm afraid. I should have been more organised with my gems. I'm just going to tie this tiny, tiny piece of twine. Oh, I just pushed that too far. I think I have. Try again. Try another bit. I got these left on the desk from another project I did, so I might as well use them. So I've got my little rabbit ears, cross over, go through the middle. Can't tie bows when I'm on lives. I did one for another card earlier this morning, got it right first time, no problem at all. Really, right. Pull that through. There we go. This time I haven't lost the end. That's better. So I just want a little bow. That's about right. Just trim that one down to roughly the same size as the other one. There we go. And I think we'll pop that on just with a little glue dot. Oh God. I save these. These are the packs that you get from kits, and I save them because they are so useful. I always use everything. I was actually clearing out some old kits before, and that's where I've got loads of little half sheets of dimensionals, some of which are used in the kits, and then there are obviously some left. So I'm just using them up. So I've got one glue dot on there. I shall use it sometime. Right, so there we are. Probably still put a couple of gems on that just to add to it, but there is my card for today. I would have 2 gems up in that corner, 1 probably down here, something like that. And I will get those in a bit to finish the card before I take the picture of it and put it up online. But I hope you like this card. I've called it a shaped layer card because we've got our usual. I love layers. I use layers in all my cards, as you probably realise by now. But this I thought was just different because we've shaped it by cutting those into triangles, and then we've got the shape of the frame as well. So I hope you've liked the card. All of the instructions and measurements are in the blog, which will be published as soon as I get the pictures of the card into it. So that is my neutrals version. But I said I would show you my trial version. This was my trial version. So this is a retired DSP, but I've used this retired DSP. They're water lilies, I think. And I picked out the Melon Mambo to colour the flowers from the Gallery Blooms set. And this time I just put a layer in the centre as well, and I put my thanks over to the side. Totally up to you how you lay the card out. This was using the corrugated embossing folder, as I said. And I think that's just a little bit too strong for the background. So that's why I prefer this one with the more subtle embossed background there. So there we go. Which do you think? Which do you like best? Do you prefer the neutral one, or do you like the coloured one? And the beauty of it, and I've done them in very, very contrasting ways because I wanted to show you that you could actually do these for any occasion. You could do it for birthdays, you can do it for sympathy, you can do it for just because cards, you could use it for thank you cards, as I've got these. I needed to stock up my thank you ones, so I've used quite a few recently. So I hope you've enjoyed it, and I hope that you have a go at it. All the instructions are in the blog, and there are my two cards with my different techniques showing. So if anyone's got any questions, please just pop them in the chat, and I'll just bring myself back in so I can say hello properly or goodbye properly, whatever. As I said, the blog will be published later. Next week's live will be later because of my husband's physio appointment. Please do go to the website, craftycarolscards.co.uk. You'll find the blog there, and you can also sign up there for my emails, and then you will know when my lives are. And next Thursday, that's a week and 2 days hence, Thursday the whatever it is of June, then we are having my Zoom Craftalong. That is via Zoom. You will need to have signed up for the emails for that because the Zoom link is in the email. And I will, at this weekend's email, that I send out, my newsletter that I send out, you will have all the details about what the project's going to be and what you need in order to make the project, so you can be prepared for a week on Thursday when we'll have my live Zoom craft along. It's not recorded, so if you want to see that and come along and craft with me, we can talk to each other properly on Zoom as well, which is great. Then please do write 11 o'clock on Thursday, the whatever it is, next week of June. I think it's the 4th, first. It's either the 4th or the 5th, I can't remember, but it's one of those. And I'll see you at 11 o'clock then for that free go. And thank you for joining me today. So I will get off now and go and finish writing the blog so I can get it published as soon as possible. And I will see you all again very soon. Thanks for joining me. Bye for now.